No, I listen to it all the time. I tell all my friends to smack it raw.
Following podcast contains mature content. The views and opinions expressed by the co-host are not necessarily those of the host. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Return to Wrestling, the podcast where we turn back time to before what? You don't like the share reference?
I just wasn't ready for it. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Before DX told us that it was okay to walk around and tell our siblings, neighbors, friends, family to suck it, or before the NWO was too sweet, before The Rock ever laid the smackdown or Stone Cold ever dropped a stunner on Vince McMahon. As a matter of fact, I, your host, the Warden Matt Ritter, and my co-host, Sir Cussalott Travis Pointer,
What's happening?
are going back to January 1st, 1996 to cover a block of Monday Nitro leading up to and including Superbrawl 6. I'm sorry in advance. Travis, here's the thing. If you listen to the Smack and Raw podcast, you know Travis likes bad wrestling. Travis likes shitty wrestling and shitty gimmicks and just really bad shit. So I'm pretty sure that's why Travis wanted to start.
Man. It's fun.
No, this was fucking... So here, I'm going to be completely honest with you. My wife had a bridal shower. I spent the whole day. I watched 6 Nitros. I had to stop and wait a week and a half to go watch Superbrawl before we could record this because I couldn't take anymore. It was so bad. And
Somebody
Superbrawl
told you to sit and watch 6 Nitros in a row.
Much
so bad.
Worse. Well, no, I sat and watched 6 Nitros because Travis is like, hey, let's record another podcast. And I'm like, okay. And then I go and watch 6 Nitros. I'm like, Travis, what did you do? He goes, I got through 2 and then I fell asleep. I thought we were recording that weekend. I thought I needed to get the shit done.
Well, see, here's the thing. We would have, because my plan was to go through Clash of the Champions. You're the one that went all the way through all 6 Nitros. Would have only been 3.
You told me that we were only covering Nitros and pay-per-views, and Clash of the Champions was neither a Nitro or a pay-per-view.
Well, technically, nothing that WWE does right now is a pay-per-view either, but we still call it that. Clash of Champions was treated like a pay-per-view.
I didn't even watch Clash of Champions, so we're not covering that here. Fuck, let's get into this. We kick off New Year's Day, 1996 Nitro. Arn Anderson versus Macho Man. Arn gets Macho gets the win. Arn's got brass knuckles in his trunks. He tries to use them. Macho Man gets a hold of them. There's just some weird shit here. There's a uniformed officer like ringside for no reason whatsoever. He's just kind of hanging out there inside the barricade chilling, or outside the barricade chilling, watching the show. No, he was watching the show. He was in the seats, Travis, in uniform.
Yeah, he's security.
Macho Man took an armbar into the ropes, but there was no rope break. Like, this is my problem with WCW is it's the same problem that I have with AEW currently. You don't know what the fucking rules are. Like, the announcers are still talking about people getting thrown over the top rope, and that should be the end of the match because that was a WCW thing, but it's not happening. And there's, like, no explanation. Fucking, you're in the ropes. Someone's got an armbar on you, but there's no fucking rope break. But this is just a normal match.
Yeah, well, you know. They were in a transition period, sir. You know?
Yeah. We've also got Benoit and Pillman pissed off because Macho used the brass knucks, even though Arn introduced them. Mind you, Chris Benoit and Brian Pillman, who are both no longer with us at this point in time, are both part of the Four Horsemen. Also, as a reminder, we haven't uneasy alliance between the Dungeon of Doom and the Four Horsemen, basically all because Brian Pillman's an asshole.
Yeah, he's fucking nuts.
So Benoit has a match against William Regal. And when I say that now in 2019, that sounds like it's going to be the greatest thing I have ever seen in my life. Chris Benoit and William Regal, two of the best wrestlers of all time, having a match on a Nitro, that's must see. It was a good match, but it wasn't anything.
So I'm saying it was a good match, and you made it sound like you just shit the bed.
It's just I got really excited when I heard that, and it was a good match. But what I found really interesting is Benoit hit
stroking your dick too early. Go ahead, keep going.
Benoit hit a tombstone on William Regal.
He did.
I thought at this point in time, like you weren't using other people, even though they were another company, like you weren't using other people's finishes out of respect, but they just straight up use this as a regular move. And you see it nowadays. But back then I thought it was a little more sacred. Like,
because wait till we get a little bit later. A certain former football player starts using the tombstone as his finisher.
The disrespect.
Yeah. It's very disrespectful.
Pillman's pissed off because both Arn and Benoit lost. He's going off. The Dungeon of Doom come down because apparently even though they have an alliance, they don't have an alliance and they want to fight. The Giants got to stop the Dungeon of Doom from getting destroyed by the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, somehow the Giant's the voice of reason here.
Yeah. Also, mind you, the Giant is still being played up as the son of Andre the Giant. And I've got a question for you, Travis.
What's your question?
Andre the Giant's name was Andre. The Giant was the descriptor. Why wasn't he Paul the Giant or John the Giant or Bill the Giant? Why didn't he have a fucking name?
Because he's like, the Ultimate Warrior. He got his name legally changed.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
No, because in a few years, he's going to be the Big Show. And it's not going to be the Giant, the Big Show. It's Paul White when he first shows up. Yeah, that's his real name.
That's his ring name.
Yeah, I love how they're like, he's Andre the Giant's son, the Giant. Like, if anything, the Giant would be his last name. So why would we call him by his last name?
They just call him the Giant. That's not actually his name.
He doesn't have a name.
Yeah, he's just a giant. He's just a big motherfucker.
Okay. Then we get here's the thing. This entire 6 episodes of Monday Nitro that we're going to go through focus around 2 things. Hulk Hogan and Lex Luger being a piece of shit and Sting being too stupid to realize it.
If I remember correctly, though, you'll be a lot happier after this.
We'll see.
Because there'll be a lot less Hulk Hogan for a while, if I'm remembering correctly.
Thank God. Sting and Luger take on the Super Assassins. Wow, my autocorrect must have fucked that up.
But you can't read your own.
Well, no, so I'll read you exactly what this says. Sting and Luger versus Super Assassins, interrupted by a pit bull looking for a manager.
Not a pit bull.
Pitman.
Yeah, pit bull Pitman.
Yeah. Looking for a manager. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it definitely autocorrected. I'm like, a pit bull looking for a manager. That's fucking weird. Randomly in the middle of the match, we just cut over there. Super Assassins turn out to be Barbarian and Warlord. Luger and Sting both lock in their finishers for the win. You got Luger with the Torture Axe, Sting with the Scorpion Deathlock. Then we get a Giant interview, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea what the fuck this guy said. He screamed a lot. There was a lot of spit flying out of his mouth, but not a coherent word in any of it.
The gist of any Giant interview is, I'm a big motherfucker, and I'm going to crush you.
Well, Mean Gene didn't understand a word he said, but I think he said something along the lines of fuck Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, basically.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, it was, in essence, that's what he was saying. Like, fuck you, Hulk Hogan, and I'm going to crush you because I'm big as fuck.
Asuka doing a promo in Japanese made more sense than this shit did.
That was weird.
And then, of course, our main event, Hogan versus Flair for the title. We got the 12-time champion at this point, Ric Flair. It's weird because I'm looking at these guys, and at the time, the perception, especially what WWF was trying to tell us, was these guys are so old. But seeing them now in 2019 and how active they were after this, they look young as fuck. Like, they weren't that fucking old.
Yeah, the only thing you got is, Savage and Hogan going bald, but that's about it.
So fucking Hulk Hogan cost himself the title. Like, he could have won it. He cost himself the title. He no-sells the brass knucks that Arn Anderson took out. And then he reached into Arn Anderson's shorts and gave Arn Anderson a hand job live on fucking TV. Like, no bullshit. Macho comes out to help after the match gets thrown out.
I think they screwed up. I think Hulk Hogan was supposed to grab those brass knuckles that were in there and couldn't grab them.
Oh, he grabbed some brass something, all right, but it wasn't knuckles. Yeah, no, he was feeling around in there a lot longer than a man should have been comfortable feeling around in there.
I'm not saying he was comfortable with it. I'm just saying he was probably looking for the brass knuckles, and, it didn't work out that way.
You know what? I don't know if you heard this, but I was listening really closely. And before Hulk Hogan reached down there, Arn Anderson looked at him. He's like, this isn't just any cock. This is my cock. And then Hogan reached in and took his cock. He gave him his cock.
Too soon.
Why is it too soon?
We haven't even gotten there yet, man.
Oh, no, my spot's way, way down the road.
Yeah. We got time for that. We need you to leave that alone.
That's what Hogan needed to do with his fucking dick, but he didn't listen. So, like I said, the match gets thrown out. Macho Man comes down to help. After the Giant brings a bar stool to the ring because apparently that was just laying around in the back. Like, fuck.
Yeah,
it.
I mean, that was laying around the back, and there's random shit always under the ring. Why are there kendo sticks under the ring, Matt? Like, it's just, who the fuck knows?
That's a good point. And then we end the show with an interview. Why do we keep ending Monday Night Nitro with a fucking interview? Why do we keep going off air?
Monday Nitro, sir.
Yeah, Monday Nitro. It's going to keep happening.
Nitro, all right?
It's going to keep happening.
Get your shit together.
Why do we keep ending Monday Nitro with a fucking interview? Like, why is it always got to be Hulk Hogan?
Saying it all mockingly doesn't change the fact that you can't say the name of the show right.
Hulk Hogan and Macho Man standing in the ring.
Now invalid because you don't even know the name of the show.
With Mean Gene doing a fucking interview, and I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, nothing they said here made sense at all.
He just says brother a lot. That's what Hulk Hogan does.
And Macho Man just yells and says, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
And
the crowd eats it up. That's all they got to do.
Yeah. We roll into January 8th, 1996. Benoit's taking on Alex Wright here. Why wasn't Alex Wright bigger in wrestling?
Because of this.
He was a talented motherfucker, and he just got screwed over with a shitty gimmick. I feel bad for that guy.
His dancing, man,
We also have...
I don't know if we'll get this far, but at some point he starts teaming with Disco Inferno, and it's funny as hell.
Let's talk about this for a second. Last week, we had Chris Benoit versus William Regal. This week, we have William Regal versus Eddie Guerrero. Yet Hulk Hogan jerking off Arn Anderson is the main event of the fucking show.
Because those are the stars. You got Hulk Hogan, at this point, the biggest star wrestling had ever seen. And you have Arn Anderson, number 2 in the Four Horsemen. Doesn't get much bigger than that in WCW, especially for a Nitro. Except for all the random title matches they have. We're not going to talk about that, though.
William Regal loses to Eddie Guerrero. During the match, instead of talking about the match or letting us enjoy it, all Eric Bischoff is doing is shitting on the WWF.
Oh, was this the point where he was like giving away the finishes and shit?
Not just giving away the finishes, but just talking shit about the promotion, like the entire match.
Yeah, fuck them.
We find out that Sting and Luger are officially a tag team. Then also, see, now if I just sat down and I gave you a match card and I told you the matches, you'd think this is the greatest show ever.
Yeah.
DDP versus Sting. William Regal versus Eddie Guerrero.
This is DDP before he was really DDP, though. Like,
I understand that, but I'm just saying, 2019, where we are now, if I were just to be like, so I got a show I want you to watch, and it's William Regal versus Eddie Guerrero, Sting versus DDP, and the Four Horsemen versus the Mega Powers. That sounds like a dope-ass show.
It does, but you got to think.
These aren't dope-ass shows.
William Regal was still going through his drug shit.
Still Steven Regal.
Yeah, Lord Steven Regal was still going through his drug shit. So
Is this around the time where he pissed on the airplane?
I don't know. I'm not sure when that happened. I know he did it, but I don't remember when that happened. And then what was the other one? Oh, DDP versus Sting. This is before DDP was really DDP. He had just really started working, you know.
He did have Kimberly with him, and he's still feuding with Johnny B. Bad, or for those of you who are non-WCW fans like I was and knew him as Mark Marrow.
Johnny B. Bad.
A lot of these undercard stories that we're going to get at the pay-per-view are all told on WCW Saturday Night. And we're not watching WCW Saturday Night, so I will say
really not. That's the thing. They really weren't. Like WCW Saturday Night was just random throwaway matches now once Nitro started up.
Okay, I mean, from what I've been told by the people on Nitro, we're getting Johnny B. Bad versus DDP interactions.
But they didn't mean anything.
Conan winning the U.S. title, stuff that we didn't see happen on Nitro is happening over there on Saturday
night. Title. Nobody gave a shit about the U.S. title back then. Like, you wouldn't have known he was the U.S. champ if they hadn't said it.
Sting beats DDP. And then Flair and Arn take on the Mega Powers. Hogan tries to pull down Flair's trunks.
Never mind.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Who's your what?
Nothing.
Who am I calling the Mega Powers?
No. Just keep going. Don't worry about it.
Well, here's the thing. Like,
it has absolutely nothing to do with what you're saying. That's
last week, Hogan jerked off Arn Anderson. This week, he's trying to take a look at the baby arm on Ric Flair. He's trying to get his trunks off. The goal of the match is not. This is not an evening gown match. This is not a bra and panties match. This is a motherfucking wrestling match. You're supposed to win, not touch your opponent's junk or take off their shorts.
So I think he was disappointed that he didn't bring Arn Anderson to completion. So
Macho does all the selling because Hogan doesn't sell. For Flair and Arn, Hogan and Savage both steal the figure 4. Hogan no-sells an Arn Anderson spine buster because this is the point in time in WCW where Hogan no-sells fucking everything from everyone because he's Hulk Hogan and fuck everyone else. And their finishes
for a decade.
and moves.
So, why would he stop now?
Dungeon of Doom comes down. They brawl with the Horsemen while the Giant fumbles around with Hogan and Savage. Then we go off air.
If you've been doing something for over a decade, and the way you've been doing it has made you millions and millions of dollars, would you stop doing it that way?
Once I stopped making millions and millions of dollars, yeah.
But he was still making millions and millions.
Okay, no. So here's the difference. He was getting paid millions and millions of dollars no matter what he did at this point.
Because of what he had done previously.
Yes, but what he's doing isn't making the money. He's getting money for what he had done previously. What he's doing isn't
doing now.
They are not making millions and millions of dollars in WCW right now. They aren't doing shit in WCW right now. They're probably fucking tanking right now.
No, they're really not. See, this is why you got to pay attention to what things are happening. The trend is going upward at this point. Not fast, but it is going upward.
They may have turned a dollar profit, but they are not making millions and millions of dollars like Hulk Hogan was.
Okay, he is. That's what I'm talking about. And the thing is, you got to look at what this is. To them, it was a TV show. It wasn't their goal to make millions of dollars off of this shit. It was to sell advertising space. And that's what they did.
But he could have done anything.
No, he couldn't have done anything. He had to be Hulk Hogan. That's who they bought. They bought Hulk Hogan, so he had to be Hulk Hogan.
He's fucking garbage in the ring, Travis. He's fucking garbage. I don't care what work. Here's the thing. This is 1996. This is not 1986. Okay. That you saying if you did something for millions and millions and millions or for decades and decades and decades and it worked and it made you millions and millions and millions of dollars, would you stop doing it?
Yeah.
I get that point. But if it's wrong, it's wrong.
What's wrong? Why? How is it wrong?
Because he's basically making everyone else look bad to make himself look good.
Still getting paid, sir. Like he made who look bad? Ric Flair?
Arn Anderson.
How bad do you think he damaged Ric Flair?
Arn Anderson.
How bad do you think he really damaged Arn Anderson? He's fucking Arn Anderson.
You say that now.
He was still Arn Anderson then. People cared more about Arn Anderson then than they do now.
I disagree with that. I feel like Arn Anderson has earned a lot of respect after this WCW run compared to what he had around this time.
After the WCW run?
Nowadays, people look back at Arn Anderson and see truly what he was capable of and what he did and respect him more than they did at the time. Because honestly, he was one of the best promos. He was one of the best in-ring workers. He probably could have been champion instead of playing second fiddle to Ric Flair all those years. But they didn't give him the chance because he was just the enforcer. They didn't, as fans, view him the way that we view him now.
If you say so. My thing is he found a good spot and he worked in that spot.
And then he gave it to Kurt Hennig.
Hennig.
That's why I said Kurt Hennig.
No, you said Hennig.
No, I said Hennig.
You didn't. You said Hennig.
No, I said Hennig.
You did not.
Okay.
You're a liar. You're a liar.
This is just more Dungeon of Doom, Four Horsemen. Like, I don't understand why we need to watch the two heel factions fight when they still are both trying to destroy Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. Like, the creative here doesn't make sense. I never gave a shit about what was going on between the Four Horsemen and the Dungeon of Doom watching this.
Well, that's because you really didn't give a shit about the Dungeon of Doom when nobody did. Only part of the Dungeon of Doom that anybody gave a shit about was the fact that Luger is kind of with them and they have the Giant.
Speaking of which, January 15th, 1996, we start off with Luger versus Savage. It's still really unclear at this point. You know, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy?
About what?
If Luger's a good guy or a bad guy.
Well, it's not unclear. He's a bad guy.
Because these last 2 weeks he's been teaming with Sting, and he hasn't done heel shit.
A piece of shit.
We find that out later in the next couple weeks, Travis. But the last couple weeks that we've been watching their interactions, Luger's been a good guy.
His interactions with Sting, but not the way he is in the ring.
We will get there. We're not there yet.
What are you talking about? He was doing that already.
Not the last 2 weeks. He wasn't.
Yeah, he was.
Really?
You just weren't paying attention.
He wasn't doing anything wrong when he was facing the Super Assassin with Sting, and that was the only fucking match he had over the last 2 weeks.
I need you to watch that match again.
Okay. I will say, when the Super Assassins came out, I kind of tuned out a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
I need you to watch that match again.
Four Horsemen in the Dungeon of Doom have a summit. They want to join forces. Pillman gets bitch slapped, and Benoit looks like a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay, Matt.
He did. He was out there dressed like a Jehovah's Witness, just kind of standing there all quiet. Like, I don't know. Basically, Pillman gets bitch slapped because, as Travis said, Pillman's crazy, and Pillman is speaking up, and he doesn't really know his place in the Four Horsemen. He thinks, I'm a horseman now. I can say and do whatever I want, and that's not really the case. You got to fall in line. Arn's trying to get Ric Flair's plan to destroy Hulk Hogan underway.
You know the story behind all that, right?
Behind Pillman and Sullivan.
Yeah, the Pillman stuff. Like the way Pillman's been acting at this point, like what they're like, we're trying to do.
Yeah, they were trying to trick the boys.
Yeah, they're trying to do this whole loose cannon thing. Yeah, and he was supposed to like go away for a while, get himself over using that, and then come back later bigger. But, you know, didn't work because, you know, WCW.
You know what else didn't work? The American Males, who are former WCW champions.
American Males.
They take on Public Enemy. I can't wait till we talk about Public Enemy at Superbrawl, by the way.
Sir, this is Marcus, a.k.a. Buff Bagwell, all right? And Scotty Riggs.
Yeah, it's the blind guy from the flock. And
he's not blind. He still has one good eye.
Okay, it's the fake pirate from the flock.
He's not even a fake pirate. Like, his eye got fucked up.
Travis, if you wear an eye patch, you're a fucking pirate or a wannabe pirate. That's the only reason to wear an eye patch.
Or the fact that your eye's fucked up.
Because he wanted to be a pirate.
No, because his eye got fucked up. Like, legit fucked up.
And Marcus Bagwell, a.k.a. my mom.
We get to that shit. This is the most disturbing shit you'll see in a while. But anyway, go ahead.
Marcus Bagwell, a.k.a. My Mom Shaves My Junk. The American Gigolo. Or no, what's that? It's not American Gigolos. Yeah, he was on a season of Gigolos.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Male escort, former professional wrestler, turned male escort, who let his mom shave his junk.
I was unaware.
He gets splashed through 2 tables by Public Enemy. They look like they were made in an inner city shop class. Like, these are 2 of the shittiest tables I've ever seen. I don't know where they got them.
You got them from Tables R Us.
We got Flair versus Sting for the title, and it's not the main event of the show. You know why?
Yeah, because Hogan's on the show.
Hogan versus Ming is main eventing over Flair versus Sting for the fucking title. I repeat, Hogan versus Meng is main eventing over Flair versus Sting for the WCW Championship. As we continue, you will see a trend of where the WCW Championship, the most prestigious title in WCW, the thing that everyone's supposed to be fighting for, takes second fiddle to fucking Hulk Hogan.
They pay good money for him.
And you wonder why I don't like the guy. I am a firm believer that nothing, not even The Undertaker, should main event over the championship. At WrestleMania, the winner of the Royal Rumble, whether it be men or women now, whichever is decided, main events that show. They go on last because it is the championship. That is the whole point of the Royal Rumble. I don't care if fucking Undertaker Sting is happening. You do not put that on last. The title goes on last. It should always go on last.
You say so.
Not fucking Hulk Hogan and Meng. He's not even fighting it. Like, he's fucking fighting Meng.
I still maintain that Rock Hulk Hogan match at Mania should have been the main event, but that's just me. Go ahead.
Disagree. Respectfully.
You're allowed to be wrong.
Continue. I made my point. The title should be the main focus. It should be the last thing on, no matter what.
I know. I heard you. You're wrong, but it's cool.
So Luger cost Sting the title, quote unquote, trying to help. Then he runs off with the heels when Hogan and Savage hit the ring. So now you've got Sting's tag team partner costing him the title and leaving with the bad guys that just beat his tag team partner for the title because Hogan and Hogan and Savage hit the ring to save Sting. Luger doesn't stick around to like apologize or say, "Hey man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean," like he runs away like a little bitch. Sting's apparently an idiot and doesn't even realize Luger's the reason he lost. And then we get more ridiculousness from Hogan and Savage before Hogan cheats to beat Ming.
Why are you looking at me like that? Like,
because we were having a conversation the other day about some shit. And
a lot of conversations, man. I need you to be more specific.
You brought up something about a spike. You thought I was talking about a spike.
Oh, yeah.
And this would be the spike match.
Yeah. Never mind. I got you. I remember now.
You want to talk about the spike a little bit?
What's there to talk about?
The fact that they thought Hulk Hogan was a vampire and tried to drive a stake through his heart.
Shit happens.
I kind of wish they had succeeded. I'm not gonna lie.
You're an evil bastard. So, you know.
I don't even know. Oh, so Hogan and Savage at the end of the match were kind of arguing back and forth, and Savage is doing Savage. He doesn't really trust anyone, and he doesn't, that's Savage will make friends, and then all of a sudden be like, you know what? I don't know about you or if I can trust you. And then he's like, oh, everything's cool again. And then it's like, no. I think you're up to something. Why are you trying to screw me here? Fucking. So they're doing that, but then he comes down to save Hulk Hogan after that bullshit that they did at the end of the last match. So he's still down there selling for Hogan, saving Hogan, being Hogan's little backup.
What?
I think that if Savage was the third man the NWO would have been just as big as it was with that. I don't think we needed Hogan. I really don't. We'll get there in a few months.
That makes absolutely no sense, but continue.
No, I disagree. Conan starts off Monday Nitro, January 22nd, 1996, as the Mexican heavyweight champion. And for a second, I thought two things. One, was there a WCW Mexican heavyweight champion?
No.
Because if there wasn't, why are we talking about it? And two, is that a toy belt? Because it looked like a toy belt.
No, he won it down in Mexico.
Was it made in Mexico?
Probably.
That's why it looked like a toy belt. Next match, Macho Man comes out with his own Ho Train. I'm pretty sure this is where Godfather stole the idea from. He's got Medusa and Woman. And this is where shit starts to get weird, everyone. Because we are getting into a point in time where we've got Woman and Chris Benoit and some other people we'll talk about later as part of a story, and everyone in it but Hulk Hogan's dead. And he's the only one that I don't want living.
Is everybody dead? No, they're not all dead. Flair's alive.
We're not talking about Flair. I'm talking about when we get to, well, we'll get there. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. So Macho Man's got his Ho Train. Medusa and Woman are part of it. But he saved his bottom bitch for last. Hogan comes out last. We get Savage versus Flair for the title. Also does not main event. Randy Savage versus Ric Flair for the title. Not the main event. Arn comes down with the Nux, but doesn't save Flair. Hogan comes in with the save. Bell rings, and the ref counts 3, but after the bell rings, which was fucking weird. I don't know if Savage is champion. And then Savage is mad at Hogan for celebrating the fact that Savage won. Just weird fucking shit.
Well, you know, Savage is
like
weird.
Here's the thing: Savage is champion. We were going to find out Savage is champion. He won the title from Ric Flair. But at the end of the match, the bell rang before the ref counted 3. So I didn't know who won the fucking match or what the fuck was going on. And then Savage isn't celebrating being champion. He's busy being pissed off at Hulk Hogan, who's celebrating like he won the match because it's fucking Hulk Hogan and no one else can, have anything. Then we get Malenko versus Pillman. Malenko loses to Pillman because Malenko should lose everything.
Let's touch on Malenko for a second, because I know you have this seriously deep dislike for Malenko for very odd reasons.
I don't. I did. I really, really, really did, but I don't anymore.
For very odd reasons. But anyway.
I respect Dean Malenko and what he was capable of. I don't think he had any fucking personality inside the ring, but he was one hell of a technician.
Well, let's talk about him and his technique. Because the problem with Malenko's technique, everything looked way too clean when you watch him. And there's a lot of times he does, it's kind of weird to say this, but he more often than I'm comfortable with, tended to, I guess, telegraph his maneuvers,
Okay.
There's times when he dropped down, after doing the Irish whip way too early, or times when they I saw this one match with him and Eddie Guerrero when he did this little thing where he ducked down to do a backdrop and Eddie did this little spin over his head, but the way he ducked down is he was waiting on Eddie to come over, and it was just so weird. There's a lot of times you watch him, you'll see stuff like that from him, and it's just
he runs his own pace, and he doesn't necessarily pace himself to the person he's wrestling.
Yeah, that could be it. It's just, it seems the things a lot of times, like I said, seem too smooth, and he tends to telegraph because he gets into positions way too early.
Fair enough. He also got into a shower with Lita way too early, and fucking made me hate him for 5 years. So, you wanted me to talk about it. You didn't bring it up because you didn't want me to talk about why I hated Dean Malenko for 5 or 6 years straight. And it was because I was obsessed with Lita, and because he was stalking Lita, and it was very weird. I was young. I was really young. All right. Cut me some slack. I was a child. I didn't know any better. Anyway, Sting and Lex Luger take on Harlem Heat. So I guess they're okay after Luger cost Sting the title. Luger punches
boy.
Booker.
You punch me the title, we still boys. I'm gonna whoop your ass, but we still boys.
Luger punches Booker with a roll of silver dollars in his hand. In his hand, not outside of his hand. He's fucking holding them and punches him.
Yeah,
Travis,
you never heard of a it's like a monkey fist. Never heard of a monkey fist?
if I hold a roll of quarters in my hand and I punch you, it's not going to hurt any more than if I punched you without the roll of quarters in my hand.
Let me tell you why. So
Okay.
Here's the thing. Like, it's the same concept as the monkey fist. Like the monkey fist is like this ball of rope, basically. And you hold it in your hand, and it kind of like solidifies your fist for when you punch. Same concept with that roll of silver dollars. Like, gets rid of all the give in your fist for when you punch.
But here's the thing. After he hits him, there's silver dollars everywhere. And the ref, and Stevie Ray, and Sting, and everyone that's a part of that match doesn't seem to notice the ring littered with silver dollars. No one's asking questions.
Well, we've talked
no one
about
wants to know why they're there.
We've talked about the idiocy of refs all over for years now. So, are you really surprised?
And we'll be talking about it some more tomorrow.
They do things like, call DQs in matches that have no DQ. They do stupid shit.
Macho Man has his hoe train and beats Flair for the title. But the main event is Hulk Hogan versus Akeem the African Dream.
It's not Akeem the African Dream, sir. It was One Man Gang.
And One Man Gang was?
Some fat dude.
Akeem the African Dream. They're the same person.
I mean, at some point, he may have gone by that name. That was One Man Gang.
This is the main event. Dungeon of Doom's main event is Hulk Hogan versus One Man Gang. Not the Giant. Not, I can't even say it because we're not there yet. Fucking One Man Gang. Fucking Akeem the African Dream versus Hulk Hogan main events Nitro over Ric Flair versus Macho Man for the title with a fucking title change.
Yo, listen. I'm just saying it could have been worse. He could have had a match against the Yeti.
Oh, trust me, when we get to the main event of fucking Superbrawl, we're going to have some Dungeon of Doom discussion. We'll get there. Don't worry.
I'm just saying it could have been the Yeti. All right.
Hogan, of course, wins because Hogan doesn't lose. The Four Horsemen.
American made.
The Four Horsemen of Doom attack.
Red, white, and blue running through his veins.
Savage comes down to save him. They fight off 20 guys.
In the U.S. of A.
Basically putting in no effort. They're beating up 20 guys like fucking it's the easiest thing in the world. They're not even trying.
I mean, it's Hulk Hogan. He doesn't have to try.
Dude, I cannot wait till Superbrawl. Oh, I can't wait till Superbrawl. And then we get more of the Macho Hogan BS. Like, Macho just won the fucking title. You think he'd be happy. He's got a fucking hoe train. You think Macho Man, instead of worrying about motherfucking Hulk Hogan, who's main eventing against Mang and fucking Akeem the African Dream over him, would be back at the hotel with his early nights, fucking his hoe train and enjoying his... He'd be walking around just wearing the title belt, saying, ooh, yeah, and getting his dick sucked. But no.
I would do.
He hung out at Nitro and waited for Hogan to get attacked so he could come down and save Hogan's ass again.
That's basically what I did with my fantasy football championship belt. Just walked around naked with just the belt on. Yeah, it was a great day.
And this is what happens when you don't go and have sex with the hoe train and enjoy your title wins. You come to Nitro the next week, and now Hogan has your hoe train. Hogan's coming out with your hoe train. And in this hoe train is Linda, his wife. He has added her to the hoe train. Did you notice that? Did you see Linda there?
Yes, I did see Linda.
But that's not it. This is where it gets really fucking weird. Now we add Miss Elizabeth. She's back.
It's so funny seeing you going through your notes and being like utterly confused by them because they make no sense, because what happens usually doesn't make much sense. And you see it written down like, this can't be what it says. And you realize, oh, that is what it says.
I'm just going to read this. I'm going to read this because I didn't even put that there was a fucking match in here, but apparently there was. Hogan steals Macho's hoe train, kicks some out, adds his wife and Savage's ex. Must be going on first so Linda and Liz can take turns stroking Hogan's ego after the match. Jimmy Hart sexually assaults Liz outside the ring, while Flair gets the win after Liz's shoe is used to poke out Hogan's eye by Arn.
Yeah.
So
that's what I mean when I say you had to look at it again to make sure that was what it said. But go ahead.
Apparently this was Hogan versus Flair kicking off the show. And the only reason Hogan didn't main event was because Hogan wanted to go back to the hotel and have a threesome with his wife and Miss Elizabeth, while Macho Man stayed back at fucking Nitro to handle Hogan's business for him.
I mean, can you blame him?
Arn Anderson, after watching Jimmy Hart rub up on Liz, gets Liz's shoe off because he has a foot fetish, sniffs it, and then sticks it in Hogan's eye.
Really? Sniffs it?
Yeah. And then fucking Flair gets the win because of this, because now Hogan is now also a pirate. He is now Scotty Riggs before Scotty Riggs.
Oh, boy. Yeah, man. Right in the eye.
And then I got really pumped for another match. Faces of Fear versus the LOD.
Yeah. Nobody sells anything.
But it's so great. It's just so great. I literally put in here, well, I changed. So what I do is when a match starts, I list what the match is. So normally it says like Faces of Fear versus LOD. And then I make my notes. And then after the match ends, I change the V to either loses or wins. So it says Faces of Fear lose to LOD. This should be good. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Sullivan and Hugh Morris take an interview with Arn and
Rush.
Sullivan and Hugh Morris take an interview with Arn and Pillman. Arn says he's going to spank Pillman. That's not good enough for Sullivan and Hugh Morris, so they attack Pillman and then start whipping him with Arn's belt. This got really fucking like Arn was going to take his belt off and spank Pillman. So then Sullivan and Hugh Morris, instead of letting that happen, bum rush them, take Arn's belt, and then start whipping Arn with his own belt and Pillman. Why? Why not just let Arn handle his own business?
Because nothing the Dungeon of Doom does make sense.
Hold on a second. I am ignoring you because I am doing a podcast. Stop calling me. I will call you when I am done.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fuck you, dude. Like, dude disappears for months at a time and then wants to throw a hissy fit when somebody doesn't answer him. Really?
Oh, he just hung up. He didn't want to have that conversation.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
Where the fuck? Okay, yeah. So just a weird what the fuck moment. Why am I watching fucking Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster, spank Arn Anderson with his own belt? Like, just fucking weird. We also get Sherry versus Medusa after Medusa ruined Sherry's wedding to Colonel Sanders. I like the Sonya Blade look that Medusa had going on here. That was kind of cool. Pretty sure that Medusa kicked out, but they give the win to Sherry anyway.
Yeah, who cares?
And then Medusa murders Sherry after the match.
Like a joking kind of way, like literally who cares? It felt like that as the match was going on.
Medusa destroys Sherry after the match. Then our main event, while Hogan is getting sucked off by Miss Elizabeth and Linda McMahon.
Again, can you blame him?
Did I say Linda McMahon? I meant Linda Hogan.
You meant Linda Hogan, but yeah.
Maybe that too. You never know.
That was probably
Savage versus the Giant. Savage jumps the Giant with the belt. There is no match. Flair attacks Savage, and the Giant and Flair end up killing Savage. No one helps because they're all fucking Hogan in the back. They always say that the Giant uses one hand, but he's using two hands. It's not a one-handed choke slam if you hold the guy from the back when you do it.
Lean into the mic, sir.
It's not a one-handed choke slam if you're holding the guy's back when you pick them up and bring them down. That is a two-handed choke slam.
This is true.
But they always refer to it as the one-handed choke. It's not.
Well, I mean, I guess they refer to a two-handed choke slam and both hands are on the throat. I mean, it's a one-handed choke with a slam.
Also, Big Show's fucking choke slams here look awful.
That's because it's the Giant doing them, not the Big Show.
the Giant, the Big Show, Paul White, fucking whatever you want to call him, his shit here, I know he's green. I know he had like zero training. They just brought him in, said, hey, you're really tall. You look like you could be Andre's kid. Come work with Hogan. And like he has no experience, but like his choke slams look so bad at this point in time.
Everything he did looked bad.
He
even drove a monster truck bad.
After Hogan blows his load, apparently he got it in his eye. He runs out with an eye patch on, and still found a way to deliver the weakest chair shots in history to end the show.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
He had to make sure. Well, I mean, he couldn't see, so he wasn't sure who he was hitting, so he didn't want to hit him too hard.
He does this again at Superbrawl, and we're going to talk about that. I don't know who taught Hogan how to swing a fucking chair, but it is terrible. The way he holds it, the lack of force that he uses, they look so bad.
Oh, they do.
Like, I'm praying for ECW to come along and rectify the situation, show us what chair shots look like, because this is terrible. It's awful. He's basically just going like this. Yeah, he's not swinging it. He's just kind of shaking it.
I'm trying to remember who it was we were watching before. Like they had like really awful chair shots. It wasn't him though. I don't remember.
After the match, Flair did a bunch of blow and then invaded the commentary booth with the Giant and just started screaming nonsense about Hulk Hogan.
I mean, he's not a fan.
And then it's our go-home show, February 5th, 1996. Now, mind you, you guys are like, man, these shows seem all really short because thankfully there is a God and these shows are only an hour long. Thankfully, I'm not put right now through a 2-3 hour Hulk Hogan hump fest. I've only got to endure an hour at a time, which is why I made it through 6 of these before I needed to take a break. Nitro kicks off with another World Championship match because Savage is the champion. And this is where it gets weird. And this is what I'm talking about, Travis. This is Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth and Woman versus Chris Benoit. Everyone's dead.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Savage died in a car accident.
Because he had a heart attack in the car.
Miss Elizabeth may or may not have had a drug overdose due to her association with Lex Luger. And we know what happened to the Benoit family.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people, like, I don't have a problem going back and watching Chris Benoit's WWF shit. But seeing him and his future wife, because they're not married at this point, and then Macho and his ex-wife all in this match, like,
yeah,
it's weird.
He was just fucking her behind Kevin Sullivan's back at this point.
It's weird fucking watching it. It really is. It's really weird to see. Flair shows up and Woman turns on Savage, helps Flair, causing the DQ. Arn and Flair take out Savage. Hogan comes down for the save with the chair that he doesn't know how to use. And then he tries to give an interview and Flair takes him out and feeds him to the Giant. I'm still trying to figure out, like, just last week, the Dungeon of Doom took Arn Anderson's belt and beat him with it, but now they're working together. Like, what happened to that? Where'd that problem go?
Yeah, you're overthinking it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking logically. I'm thinking that if a man rushes me and takes my belt from me and starts beating me with it, that I'm not going to a week later come out and work with him cohesively and have no issues.
I'm saying in the context of what WCW is doing at this point, you're overthinking it.
Also, I think the Zodiac's a little confused because he's like trying to save Hulk Hogan. He's trying to stop people from hurting Hulk Hogan.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
What do you mean, no, he's not?
Zodiac's in the Dungeon of Doom.
I know where he is. And that's what I'm saying. I think he's confused, Travis, because he stopped them from attacking Hulk Hogan and even muttered the words friend or something along those lines towards Hulk Hogan as he was stopping the 4 Horsemen in Dungeon of Doom from attacking Hulk Hogan. And this man, this character, is not the rational, cooler heads prevail kind of guy. So it makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, well, you know, it's the booty man.
Then immediately after this team up, we have a tag team match, Sullivan and Morris versus Pillman and Arn, because none of this fucking makes sense. They're fighting, and then they're friends, and then they're fighting, and then they're friends, and then they're fighting.
You got Hugh Morris. And it was humorous. Badoom.
They announced that Pillman and Sullivan signed what they're going to call a respect match contract while Pillman and Sullivan are in the ring wrestling right now. They signed it. The match breaks down. Paul Orndorff, out of nowhere, 3 months ago.
Hold on, I lost you. You said Paul Orndorff what?
Comes out of nowhere, throwing back to what, 2-3 months ago when the fucking Four Horsemen took him out?
Man, it was a while ago.
Yeah. Hits Arn with a broom.